Now remember, we have a user that has, this is the user 9 if I'm not wrong. So we're gonna go to events now. We're gonna pick up image. This will be a React hooks crash course that I did. If you haven't done that yet, that's very interesting, you can do as well. And then we're gonna say new event test, all capital, so that we know which one is. This will be blah blah blah. The price will be 99.99. The date will be special, it will be tomorrow, and the sport will be swimming. So we'll create with this user. The event was created successfully. If you're going swimming, that's what we want. And look what I'm doing. This is the 3000 port, right? So I'm not closing this tab. I'm gonna open another incognito tab, incognito window. I'm gonna go to localhost 3000. So this is a completely new user that we haven't used yet. So we will register new account. It will be test. The email will be test10 at test.com, password test. We're gonna register. We forgot to fix our register user controller. So here we have get user, we have create user, right? Okay, so guys, if you look here and you look the login controller, the problem that we have is mainly because we're not using the JWT to generate the token for the user, right? So we need to implement this capability here, exactly the same thing that we did for the user. So if you copy this and you go back to user controller where we have the register create user method, instead of returning this, we want to do a few things here. So we want to paste that here. Basically, these will be the same, okay? So we can send a token instead. Yeah, that makes sense. So we're not sending all this data back. We're sending a token and a user ID. Remember that we change all of this, right? So what we want to do is change that, and then let's import here const JWT equal require. This will be JSON web token. And basically here now when you sign in, we get the user with the user response. This will be user only because we're using user there. We can even rename that to make sure that this is correct. And then here we send back the token. That's correct now. Sorry guys, we forgot to do that. Now if you come back to the register, it should, let me refresh the page. Let me make sure here is also refreshed. So let's try to create a test last name. The email is going to be test10 at test.com, and test is the password. Bad requests. So let me have a look here. We're probably missing something here, right? So we get the mail, first name, last name, and password. Then we check if we have already an email registered. But we check from the body and we find one. Okay, that's correct. And then if the user doesn't exist, we want to hash a password, and we want to create a new user basically. And that's where it's failing, because it's saying that, okay, let me read the message again. So it's failing by 400. Let's look in network. Email already exists. Okay, so actually it did create it the first time, but because we didn't send in the right format, it didn't send us to the dashboard, but the user was created. So now I need to create a I will create one that will be Jean test, and this is failing again. Let me see how the request was sent. No content. Okay. Seems that we have an issue here, guys. I think we can take this out. And we can respond with that instead. So return. I think we want this error. So this is a try and catch. Here we throw, here we break everything, right? So user ID, user is a token. So here we can say console.log error token. So if error shows up, let me have a look in the front end, because I'm thinking that we forgot to change the front end as well. So if you go to the front end, register, we should have a function here to create the user post. Okay. And we send email, password, first name and last name. And then if we have this thing, we set here and we do here. That sounds correct. I want to see the response. Test 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, tests.com, test. Oh, so now it did work. It was something weird here, and this is we need to change. The dashboard was changed to the push, right? So now if we refresh here, we can go to the dashboard, but basically now we can test the functionality that we were looking to test. And then I will have another look there. If you go in swimming, it has this event here, right? And then what I want to show you is the power of the sockets IO, right? So yeah, the app is not responsive. We can fix that, but okay. So now that we have that, maybe it's gonna work. I don't know, because we fixed so many things in this meantime that maybe it doesn't. So if I click here, new event was successful created, but this is didn't receive anything. Okay, let's look here. Let's debug the event. Events.user, I'm using the user ID instead. So that's the problem. Okay, so the problem was we're using the user ID to create the event and not the user, the hashed. But then we will need to change how the sockets work. The sockets will need the user ID instead. Yeah, that sounds correct. It's just I made a mistake. My mistake was thinking about to use the user, not the user ID, but user the proper token instead. So if you come back to the server, here where we get the query, we want to send the user to sockets ID, but from the front end is where we need to change things. If you go to the front end dashboard page, when you have a user here, you want to send user as user ID, because we need the ID of the user to be able to find the event that was created by that user, if that makes any sense. So now we'll log out. I will create a new user. This will be Jean test Jean2 at test.com and test. Okay, that sounds correct. So now I will create a new event. This event will be created by my new course. This is not the new, it's the old course that I have from React hooks. I will start recording again the TDD part. It will be super nice. This will be 5 crown, blah blah blah. The price will be 3333. This will be on the 28th, and cycling because we just have 2 events. So this will be the one. So when I create that, that works. Cycling the one. Okay. So now, guys, if everything is right, it should work. So let's go back to that another tab. There we go. So now if we go in cycling, you have the one here. Boom! As soon as I click there, I create an event, and as you can see, I click it there, and here I got a notification. Look how incredible is that, guys. Do you know how powerful is that? It's like now we can do something in the front end to consume all of this data, and that's great. So if you open again your code and you go to the dashboard page, we need to create, basically we need to create a new state for this, right? So we're gonna create a const. This is gonna be the registration events. Now events request, events requests, and set events requests. Okay, so this is will be use state, and this is will be an empty array. So now basically you did see when I console log this data, but what we want to do here, we want to create an array with all the events inside, right? Because you could accept or deny a request, but you also couldn't do anything, and that would be saved there in your session, right? So now what we can do here is every time that you get this data, we can do sets events request. This is we want to be able, every time that we receive a new data or a new request, because imagine that a user could receive many requests, So we want to set the event to be an array with the event request that this currently has. We're going to add those here basically, and we're going to add the data, right? So that's basically what we need to do. And then what that's done, this is going sets events requests. Yeah. Yeah, that was correct. Okay, so we can test this out, guys. We should have an events request, and the next time that we do that, I can console log inside the application where we're gonna use that. So let's create a thing here. Basically, we'll do console.log and log that. So now is an empty array. Yeah, empty array. Let's open again this, and then we can go to cycling, click here again, and there you have it. Now we have one item with all this information. That's what I wanted. Keep in mind, I'm not doing any work here to save these events into the local storage. We could save that to the local storage, keep a persistency there, but that's up to you. So there you have it, guys. I'm not saving this into the database, but you could save if you want. This is the notification. You need to add basically a new module. You need to create the module specs and use notification by the clients. I don't want to do that because this is not production app for me. It's more to show you the concept. So in that's being the case, I'm not saving any data from the events requests. So now what happens is that we don't have like it's not persistent. Basically, there's a few things that we need to fix here, guys. One of these things being to create this connection here as a socket. We can extract that as a memo. So basically, because like right now, every time that you refresh the app, you make a new connection. So what happens if the client decides to refresh the page? So we need to address that. So we're gonna move that outside from this scope, and we're gonna use memo from that. So if you import use memo, if you look there, we will only recompute the memorized value when one of the depths has changed, right? So that's exactly what we need to do because we want to keep the same ID. Okay, so then in the socket here, we will do the following. Okay, we'll do use memo. We're gonna wrap this into a use memo function. However, we'll need to do an enter here and return a function, otherwise it doesn't work. Okay, and now I think I'm missing here this one, query socket IO. This is there. Okay, and then here what I want to do is basically pass an array with the user ID. Okay, so why the user ID? And the answer is quite simple. If the user ID changes, that means this is a different user. In that case, I want to refresh that. If that's not the case, I don't want to do that. This is a dependency, so basically this will work the first time and only will work again if the user ID here in the local storage changed. And that's exactly what we want, because we want to keep the same user ID and the same connection for that user during the entire journey that he has. Now inside the socket, that's fine. We can set the events request like we did here, and here what we can do, we can pass the request, the events request. If that's changed, we want to fetch again, and if something also goes with the socket, we want to refresh that again, right? And there you have it. Now we need to create two extra functions, right? Basically, we need to handle now. Well, let's start adding the front end, the more exciting part that I think you guys kind of waiting for a long time to see, right? So let's do that, and then we handle the functions after that. So basically, how are we gonna do that? We're gonna go inside the page here, and like I was using the events request before, we're gonna use the same mechanism as a trigger to do what we need to do. But instead, because the default value is an empty array, so we can trust this and do a map. And then basically here will be an event, and I will be returning some stuff. So here we can start return, and basically what we want to do really, let me think. Let's wrap this in early in a ordered list, an ordered list. So this will be an ordered list, and I will add a class name as notifications, right? And then this will be after that. Okay. So I'm doing that because now I can create an LLI here, and I can do everything that I needed. The first thing that we want is pass a key, and this key is for React finding the DOM element and update it without refresh all the components, without removing all the children's. So that's why we want to pass. This will be basically the event.id. This ID is from the event, and then inside that we can have a paragraph, and here we can start with a strong phrase and say event.user.email, or first name in this case, but let's go for the email first. And then we can say is requesting to register to your event. And then I thought I was closing this strong. I've closed before, but yeah, basically this needs to be rapid so that we can render this part. And I think we need to say the event, kind of the event price, right? The event name, so because you could have more than one. So strong, here you could have event dot title, and basically we could just for now add two buttons there. Let's copy these buttons here, right? We can copy this. And also this is interesting because I just remember that we can maybe use the paragraph. Forget about the paragraph. Let's have a look here. Let's consider what we're doing. Basically here, Corta. Okay, basically here we have two buttons. One will be accept, and another one will be canceling or denying. So this is going to be other things, but for now will be empty objects, empty functions, so that we can see how that's looking like without failing. So now we have this. Let's open that tab again. If you go in swimming, cycling, and you send a request, there you have it. So 321 test is requesting to register your event, and we can go on console. Okay, so this paragraph will need to be a div, and the reason being is because we're using button group, and the button group under the hood is a div. And then React is saying to us that a paragraph cannot have a children that is a div. So now that issue went away. That's okay. Let's console log the events here, so we can help us to build that a little bit quicker. So if you open the other tab that we have, let's go for cycling, send another request. Here we will have the event dot. I think basically we need just the title is fine, isn't it? And the user, we have the first name, but the email is better. I prefer the email. So now when you have the event, you actually have an object dot event. So this is not an event. Let's rename this. This is a request. And then here we can do event.title, and that now would work. The only thing I will do now, this episode is getting a little bit longer, so I'll be adding the CSS for these events. So if you go for the event, we could add the notifications down here. So basically it will be a notification. This is going to be an li button dot. Let me think. No. We need to do a notification li, and basically what we want to do is increase the font size. I will add 16 pixels, and the line height I will increase to 24. So we also need to style the ul.notification. We want to take the list style none, that we have that style, and the margin bottom, maybe 16 pixels to be multiples. So now if you go to the other tab, swimming, cycling, request, I think I'm missing an S probably. Let me have a double check that. No, that's correct. Notification. Oh, here I'm missing an S, so that's why. Now makes sense. Here also. Oh no. I must confess I'm a little bit tired. I worked the entire day, so I want to finish a little bit these styles, and I will leave for we do that another day. So yes, it's much better. I think we can have a little bit more space in here. Maybe could be display flags, and we could have the same flags directions that we had there. The event title is a bit let me think. Should be, if you go back here, right? I don't like to change here because we're gonna lose that event, but that's fine. Let's do it. So inside the line, we have a div. This div actually should be here. And then now we have two things that we could use flags to split them. It's gonna be much better now. So if you go back to here and go to cycling, and let's see that again. Not quite right, but now I know how we can address that. So you can go to this flex direction, and we can set it's not flex direction, it's just justify content that I want, and we can have basically space between. Here inside the divs, that's what React was complaining. This was a meant to be a paragraph, right? So we can I think that's it, guys. We can invest more time in styling that. Basically, for the next episode, we're gonna finish this work. We're gonna be able to accept or cancel this, and basically what we're going to use, if you go in the routes, we're going to have, if you go in the routes in the backend, we're going to have approvals and rejection functions that we need also to protect and use that to finish this. So then we can probably invest more time in styling, and there you have it. Maybe even make this a little bit more responsive, because currently this is the only reason that why that isn't. So we could work on that. And that's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this series today. I know it was a little bit heavy. This is quite a lot, but don't panic. This is normal. Like, first time I heard about WebSockets, my mind blew up. I didn't know how to handle, I didn't know what to do. So I think you guys going super well so far. If you have questions, remember we have a Discord group, so please go to the Discord group, subscribe there. Let's build this community together. These all tutorials and bootcamps is nothing without you guys, so thank you very much for all your support. I really appreciate that, and please remember to share this with your friends and leave a like. This supports the algorithm, and YouTube helps the YouTube to spread for more people, mentioning that this is a good thing. Thanks very much. See you guys in the next episode.